All right, everybody, I want to welcome you to another episode of Fresh Takes, where we give you fresh takes on public speaking, the art of it and the business of it. And what we do is we share, I like to call them fresh people who've got a fresh perspective, fresh knowledge, and fresh takes on what it takes to be successful in this art form and business form. And today I've got the amazing Natalie Ehmka joining me. We met, I can say maybe she met me several years ago. We were speaking at a conference in Ohio, and she walks up to me to introduce herself and lets me know that she's actually from Phoenix, Arizona, where I am based. So we connected that way. But Natalie is a motivational speaker. She's an executive life coach. She's a leadership trainer and soon to be author, correct?
Yes, the book is coming. Yes.
The book is coming. So today, everybody, we're going to do fresh takes here with the amazing Natalie Ehmka. And Natalie, I'm just going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself to everybody. Let everybody know, just really who you are. I gave your bio, but who are you?
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for having me. I love our story. I love how we met and that we had to go all the way to Ohio to meet, which is which is so perfect. So yes, I am, who am I? I am just a girl who's out there working on her own path of mastery and offering others the same. I am a speaker. I do show up as a speaker. I show up as a coach. I show up as somebody who helps other people tap into their own world-changing abilities, their own power, their own confidence, and their own influence. I do that, like I said, from a stage. I do that one-on-one in coaching. I do that also in a group. I have a group of world changers and a coaching group as well that gather together with me every few weeks in order to get even better and stronger in their own world-changing paths as well. And yeah, I do it and getting to interact with other people like you.
Nice. Now, you said it several times, so we have to explain to everybody watching this one here is you keep saying world changers. So I like that. I like using the word life changers and difference makers, but your piece that you own is world changers. I watch you in social media and it's like, hey, here's another world changer. So what is this whole world changer? I don't know if it's a methodology or philosophy, but what's world changing?
Well, specifically the groups that I work with that are attracted to me are people who know their leaders, people who know they're here to do something differently. I call them path blazers, people who think differently. I work with a lot of world-changing businesses that are blazing a path where there is no path. So they are changing the world, obviously, like in a big way, or changing an industry in that way, and they know it. They're also like owning it.
Okay.
I also work with any form of leader who's working on getting their own business going, any sort of impact they want to make. I work with the big dreamers. I work a lot with the next generation. Like I have a lot of clients that are in their 20s that are like here to like really do the thing, and they're getting excited at a young age and getting some solid things in place. But a world changer is actually anybody. Anybody can be a world changer because we all have the ability to change our own world and therefore impact the worlds of those around us. So the word world changer is really an invitation into a new understanding of your own impact and your own ability to create change in and around yourself.
Love it. Yeah, I love the comment when I see it. It makes me smile because it's like I want to be a world changer. So it's got a very empowering piece. But you and I are both speakers, and we know as soon as you announce that you are a speaker, you get the number one question, and the number one question is, how did you get into speaking? So for you, I know when we met, I'm like, I had to go look you up on social media, and I see this website, and there's a video, and you're dancing around, and it's like, look like thousands of people dancing around with you and up on the stage. I'm like, wow. So how did you become a speaker to where you just got these crowds who are just feeding off of your energy?
Well, I started out small like everybody does. I actually started way back in 2004 and 2005. I started working with an organization here in Phoenix that would send me into schools to speak about my own experiences as a means of prevention. And I was doing a lot of safe dating, healthy relationship talks based on some experiences I had in college. I also had a passion for speaking and sharing stories from a young age. I was on the speech and debate team in middle school, high school, and in college.
Oh, okay.
Fun facts about me.
Fun facts. There you go.
6th grade. It was my first speech tournament. 6th grade, folks. So I think somewhere deep down inside, I knew that this was how I wanted to show up in the world. I also studied journalism at ASU, so I wanted to go into that world for a little while. And I'm sorry.
Am I doing it right? You said ASU. Is that?
No,
That was GCU. I got to get it right.
you just did the UT symbol. I grew up in Texas, so that's
Oh.
that's the UT Longhorn symbol.
See, yeah, there we go. All the ASU people are going to come after me after watching this one.
Anyway, so I started working with this organization that sent me into schools, and I was speaking about sexual assault actually before it was a thing. I was speaking in closed door classrooms, health classes, like everybody wanted to talk about the topic, but nobody wanted anyone to know we were talking about the topic. This was a long time ago. And I kind of rode that wave up. I worked with this organization till 2008. Then I left. Okay. And I went out on my own. Schools were still calling me. So I was like, wait a minute, maybe we've got something here. Like maybe this is something. I spoke to a couple hundred schools when I was with that organization. So I had established myself as somebody who had this story and this presence. And then schools kept calling, like, we know you're not with that organization. Can you come? Can you come? And I was like, I guess so. So I started to speak on my own. Shortly thereafter, I incorporated as a business. It became Pretty Feisty. It was the movement I started to build. And it was a girl empowerment movement. And I joined a national speaking tour right after that. And I started to book gigs all around the country. And I was literally riding the wave of sexual assault awareness and kind of helping lead it, but just riding the wave of awareness about it. Before I knew it, I was doing all school assemblies, I was doing large conferences, and I was really helping empower people and create awareness around this topic that had previously been really taboo. I had a moment standing on a stage after about 10 years of speaking, from 2004 to 2014, somewhere in 2014, 2015, I started to gather this new awareness where I didn't want to be leading with that story anymore. I was known for it. I was known for Pretty Feisty. I was known for my story. And I was standing on a stage. I know those moments. I know a lot of speakers can relate to this, where you have one of those moments where you kind of like come up out of your body a little and you look down and you're like, what are you saying? What are you doing? Yeah. This was a pivotal moment for me in my life. I was saying to the group of students that I was working with in high school, I said, what happens to you doesn't have to define you. And then I realized that I had literally been defining myself by something that had happened in my past. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I even still get like a little chill as I think about it then.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had a point where as a speaker, I was trying to tell people how to improve their life and I had never gone through any struggles. And I came out of my body and looked at them like, okay, well, how can you tell people how to get things better if you haven't gone through any struggles in the life? And that had to change my perspective and my story. So I know that kind of shifted me. So how did this shift you?
Oh my gosh. Can we talk about this for just a second?
Let's go for it.
I love this. As a coach and as a speaker and as somebody whose product is you, essentially, we really need to embrace those moments and not try to hide them, not try to shun them. Really just be open a little bit more with our process and say like, hey, I'm going through some stuff, or hey, like because those moments shift you. Right? They like change you and change the course of what you're doing. And so many times speakers and coaches try to keep showing up, even though they're like in the middle of a space where they're like breaking down and they really need to shift and change and shed. And they're afraid to like say so. So I kind of knew that was what was happening. And I took a major step back from speaking. I didn't really know that's why I was doing it at the time, but I'm really glad I had the awareness at the time to step back, because I wasn't really okay to keep going. Like I couldn't keep showing up in integrity, with that new awareness. So like it's like we have these awarenesses, and when our product is us, it's okay to say sometimes like, oh, I've got to reevaluate. Hey, I've got to check myself. Hey, I got to look and see how I'm.
Well, and your audience appreciates that genuineness, because for me, I was trying to have this perfect image on stage saying, hey, it's good for me. But then in my real life, I was struggling trying to get jobs, and I was working a couple different things. And the funny part was, bills getting behind. I finally stepped out on stage one day and said, okay, you know what? Let me be transparent. And I go, hey, you know what? I was like, there's nothing worse than asking the bill collector for a job. And the audience was like, whoa. And I goes like, hey, has anybody had the bill collector call you? I was like, and you have to ask them. They're like, hey, you're behind on your bills. I was like, I know. It's like, I was like, I'm looking for a job. And they go, well, why don't you get one? I'm like, are you hiring? And just sharing that story. Yeah, sharing that story on the stage. But when I stepped off, that actually resonated better with the audience because they came up and they go, wow, I'm going through that same piece too. And that actually changed my speaking career, was to be more genuine on stage, to talk about the struggles versus trying to be this perfect, person up there on stage.
That's it. That's everything. So this is a big part of what I share now. Because I was like, okay, some stuff's got to change in my life. I took a giant step back from speaking. I still finished out my obligations. I still had some schools that had booked me, conferences, things like that. But I was like, I got to reevaluate my life. So I did. And I really went inward for a couple of years. I took some really good time for about 2 years to get clear on what it was I wanted to be and why I was showing up that way, why I was leading with something dark as opposed to leading with something light and positive, And so I really did the inner work to unravel that. And then, as always, we're always guided, people always like freak out. They're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen after this? What's going to happen next? And I always tell my clients, I always tell people, I'm like, you'll be given the next clear step. Just take this one and then the next one will reveal itself, because that's what happened. I didn't think I was going to go back out and start speaking again. Honestly, I was like, I had thrown myself into my other business. I was like, it was exploding because it was my sole focus again. And like, I was just blowing that up. And then I started to get these little nudges, these little pings that were like, I'm supposed to start speaking again. And I was like, no, I'm good. Long story short, obviously I did reemerge with whole new topics, as just a leadership speaker, as somebody who had all different stories and awareness about the impact we have on each other and on ourselves. And all of a sudden, those were my new topics. And it was based on my journey. It was based on my experiences. So that's really like the key. Like you said, it's embracing your own experiences and the authenticity of that, because it gives you it shows you the next way to connect with your people and your audience and what you're here to do. It's all making sense.
It is. And then as I'm listening to you share your story, I'm also noticing, that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm noticing, like, two pieces, you're going to call it divergent, but we also have to bring them together. There's definitely, you talked about setting up an LLC and running your own business. So there's obviously the business side, and I always tell people, like, hey, you have to understand the business side if you're trying to be a professional speaker. But then there's also the artistic side of, as you said, what is my topic going to be on? Who do I talk to? How do I better showcase myself? So I guess with my two questions coming up right here are, number one is, you are a businesswoman, you're a business person. What advice can you share as far on the business side of this whole speaking game? Like, what's some of the business things that you've either learned or stumbled through?
Take it seriously. Take it seriously. In the beginning, as you heard me share, I was kind of like, well, I guess I'll do this. Woo! And sort of like got pulled into it, which is great. There was a demand for it. There was a need for it. But there was also some pieces that I needed to work out about getting clear on, like, okay, what's my work day? How is this going to look? How am I following up? What's my structure? It's so much more than just a website. It really is that discipline. It's paying attention to where your strengths are too within that. And still at the same time, loving yourself through those discipline moments, when you follow your passion, there's a lot out there. I work with world changers on this. There's a lot of like talk about like, oh, being in the flow and being in your zone of genius and all that's really important, but there needs to be the structure and the discipline and the accountability within yourself, or find an accountability person to help you stay really strong. And I wish that I had known that in the beginning. And I also had some growing up to do. I was in my early 20s when I started all this. I'm 35 now, so I know a few things about my own maturity level.
You're still a baby.
I know, but at that maturity level, I was like, okay. And I like jumped into this business world, but like did not have the structure and did not know how I was going to do it. I mean, there's a certain amount of faith and fire that pulled me, and I will never discount that. That's very important. But at the same time, I was a little bit wobbly with regard to my, like, really treating it like a business at first.
Yep. So obviously you said, you just have to stay focused and going there. So that's the business side. But then, everybody always sees the fun side of speaking. Right. And I know when I watch you, like you said, you love the positivity and energy. And I know you're very interactive. You have activities and games. So for the people who are the speakers on the artistic side, like, what do you, like, you personally, or what would you share? How do we become this engaging speaker to where the audience wants to be around us?
This,
or listen to us?
yeah, I love this, especially when we're getting both of our feet wet, like working with youth.
Mhm.
A fundamental principle that I understand now and that I offer to people who are looking to go into this business is that no one is better than or worse than anyone else. We are all just called to serve in different ways. And if you are called to serve on a stage, if you're feeling that's like where you want to go, it's not because you know something that someone else doesn't know, or that you are better than, or your journey is worse than, or anything like that. It's not that at all. And really getting clear on that within myself was huge, and dropping that helped a lot, because it can create a barrier between you and your audience. You know, if your audience thinks that you're talking down to them in any way, shape, or form,
No, they're heading out.
What'd you say?
I said they're heading out.
Yeah, you'll lose them in like 1 second, you know, especially working with teens. They can smell any kind of inauthenticity a mile away. So I always thought this was fascinating when I was working with teens and working with groups of high school students. I'd be at a school and it'd be an all school assembly, right? So then, like, you know, the principal would get on the stage and he would like introduce and say, okay, everybody quiet down and put your phones away. And he, you know, talking down to everybody and in this interesting way. There were some schools that did it, some schools that didn't. I'm not like, saying this is abroad, but I would watch when it would happen, and I'd watch how the audience would respond. You know, the teens are like, all right, you know, they're like not engaged, they're not listening, they're used to being talked down to. So then when I would walk on the stage, it would always be my intention. I'd show up in jeans, you know, because it matched my audience, and it also was like an unspoken connector point with my audience. So pay attention to your audience in that way too. That's a really big thing. But just notice where there may be unspoken walls, and do your best to really either address those, either with your energy or with how you're dressing or showing up, because they will smell those barriers and even those subtle thoughts of like, oh, I'm better than you because I'm on this stage. No, I'm just here at a different point in my journey. I'm not better than or worse than, I'm just sitting at a different point and I've got this perspective. And instantly that connects you or separates you.
Yeah, my nephew, he's in college now, but he came to watch me speak when he's in high school, and he came up and he goes, for anybody watching this one, you can agree, but he goes, the high school students, anybody going to youth, he goes, we are natural BS detectors.
Exactly. Exactly. They so are. And that was the biggest part of my success, truly, was having like this safe space that kids could come up and talk to me, you know, either during the talk when I was doing interactive stuff or afterwards or whatever it is. Like, that's huge, because that's what you're being hired for, is to connect with your audience, and B, it sends out like that wave and that ripple that creates more business for you, more success for you. So like doing the inner work to get really humble on this, seriously, will take you so far, because I built my speaking career and I built all my businesses by word of mouth. And that's what we do, you know? So if you can rock it with an audience and have a school and kids still talking about you after you leave, that speak more than, you know, you getting on the phone and trying to call and force some gigs to happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's not important, but you're understanding what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, it's the referrals that, you know, the people remember how you make them feel, and that's what, you know, brings in the phone calls where, you know, you'll go prospect looking for the speaking work. Those people don't call you, then out of the blue, you get the phone call or the email going, hey, we would like you because of, as you said, you didn't talk down to anybody. You engaged, you made them feel like a real person. And as you said, and we should probably talk on this one, just you said, even as far as how you dress didn't create a barrier for your audience. Yeah. So with that piece there, talking about the barrier, and then I still got to go into this business piece, but the barrier, and I love to talk to speakers about this one, or even business people, is you said you had to wear jeans there for the students, but I know if I go to your website and I've been around you, you also have this very professional look. So when it comes to this whole speaking game, I know you work within youth markets, you work in professional markets, you work with these entrepreneurs, you know, who are just like the t-shirt and jeans people. How do you determine what to wear and how to, you know, quote, dress the part for the groups that you're working with?
That's a good question. I have a little bit of a look. I always wear all black on a stage, or it's funny. Even when I'm working with youth, I don't I don't think I've worn actually jeans in a while now, but I wear like black jeans, or I wear like, I wear like casual. And then I wear, it's funny, when I work with youth, I have these gold high tops that I wear too, which I love. And the kids love them, but that connects me. And then when I'm doing workshops, I wear jeans. Sorry, clarification. But like on a stage, I have this look, and my look is all black. I know your look is the green. But people have commended me on that and said like, it really helps. It really helps us like connect to you, know where to put you, know where to find you. I know it's so interesting, but it's something that I just kind of decided one day. I was like, well, I don't really wear pattern anyway. This is just me. My everyday life, I have no patterns. I've literally one thing with pattern on it. Fun side note. And like, I just decided that I was just going to wear all black, and it made it like easy for me when I went into, when I went to go pack for a speaking gig, or I went to go speak. And even when I coach now, I always wear all black. I think it's just simple. I think it's easy. And I think it helps people just like focus on what it is you're saying or doing.
Yeah. So you're not distracting, but.
Right. That's my look. That's my brand. And again, people have said that to me too. They say, we like how conservative you are. We like that you're in all black. Like, I mean, you never know what's going to appeal to the audience until you get feedback, but two, like you have to choose what feels good for you and what you feel is going to be a match.
Yeah. And that's the big piece. Anybody I work with, I always tell them I want them to wear, and you'd think it'd be more of the ladies, but it's actually more the men who start to overthink what they should wear. But I told him, I was like, you have to wear that makes you feel comfortable, because the idea is to be as comfortable on stage as possible so you can, present and speak with people. And the width is a big piece. You talked about it. We're not talking at people, or we're talking with people. It's a conversation. There's like, the back and forth, going on up there. So obviously you said you're a speaker, you're a business owner, and, just really quick to let the audience know, because I know, but what are some of the other businesses you've had outside of speaking?
Something's popping I want to go back and share too. I hate speaking in heels. Ladies, speaking in heels on a stage is the worst because it's so loud. Do you feel me on this? So loud. So I got, when I found that's the other reason I adopted the high tops, because it gave me like an elevated feel, but it was quiet. I could walk and not like hear the clunk, 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 especially on stages when there's an orchestra pit underneath you. It's hollow. It's like a disaster area. So that really works for me. Find your look. I know I've seen speakers speak barefoot. I actually spoke barefoot at a conference once because I was like, let's just try this. Anyway, shoes are a big thing too for the women. So if anybody wants to talk about that, shoot me a message. We'll talk shoes on stage.
It's true. And I've worked with several ladies, and I laughed because I did see a speaker where they had a metal riser. And because she had high heels, all you kept hearing was clink, 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 the whole deal. It was funny. It took away. And then the other one was especially for males or females. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I was going to say earrings, anything that makes noise, bracelets, X-nay, anything that's going to make noise.
Yeah, anything's going to make noise or just like clank or fall off. But the other piece is you are on your feet, and men and women. I tell people, it's like, hey, it's like, wear something that's going to be comfortable. And they're like, what? I was like, if your feet hurt when you're on stage, or especially for the ladies with that high heels, if you've got to move and guess what? You might trip, you have to turn and pivot. That could cause some issues.
Yeah. So thanks for letting me go back to that. Okay. What was the question?
So the question was, you said businesses, plural. So what are some of the businesses you have been a business owner of?
Yeah. So this is hilarious. I was getting eyelash extensions because I was traveling and I was speaking and I was on stages, and it just made my life so easy. This is back in literally 2005, 6. And then I went into 2000 when I was a business owner, like really is when I was like, okay, this makes my life easy, because I was traveling so much. I didn't want to deal with eyelashes, ladies. I was getting my eyelashes done. And then a friend of mine was like, hey, let me train you on how to do eyelashes. And then you can do it on like the summers when you're not speaking as much. And I was like, no way. There's no way I can sit still long enough to do this. Long story short, she talked me down. I went and like watched her do it one day, and I was like, this is fascinating. I got trained. I ended up starting this side business of doing eyelash extensions while I was traveling and speaking, and just scheduling it in between. So then when I had this kind of like little thing built up, so then when I took a giant step back from speaking, I was like, well, I'm going all in the eyelash studio. Let's do this. It was great because it provided me, a space to still be in control of my schedule. I'm a born entrepreneur. I'm unemployable.
Oh yeah.
unemployable these days. It's like, oh no, I can't work right now. Let's go. And so I say that with love, and I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not turning down any cool consulting gigs.
No worries. We're about to have a party crasher here.
Oh, hey.
So, yep. So people are going to see us when using some of these interviews. I have my guest interviewer pop in.
Daddy, hurry up my hair.
So for me, for everybody, we're talking about it. I am the somewhat stylist. So we had to pause the interview here so I could actually curl her hair up.
This is real life, folks.
This is real life. So
This is
My name's Olivia.
Hi. Hello, I'm Natalie.
So yep. So you actually met her on our hike last year.
Oh, that's right. We did.
Yep, this is my hiker. So all right, gotta go. You're good. All right.
Okay.
So that's the bye. So yeah, that's the reality of what we do. Is you're at your place, I'm at my spot, and that's why I was asking you to share the piece about the business, because many people think sometimes that the speaking is the only thing that we do. And I know that you have run other businesses, and even as you're talking about the eyelash thing, you can keep going about that one. But I know another big part of your business is coaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll talk about that too. So yes, I love being a business owner. It's so much fun. Okay, so quick note about the eyelashes. That business exploded because I put all my energy into it. You know, I coach world changers on their energy and where they're putting their energy, their efforts. Like I put all my energy into that. All of a sudden, it blew up.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing advertising. I was just giving extra attention and detail to all of my clients. And then boom, I was dedicated to excellence. So that business blew up. So then about 2 years into this, I'm like on my self-discovery journey, and I'm feeling the nudge to go in and start speaking again. I was able to do so because I had this other business, and I just started scheduling around speaking gigs. I did a whole rebrand of my speaking stuff. I dismantled the Pretty Feisty movement. I reemerged as a different type of speaker. And this is when we met. I was able to have one foot in both businesses and just kind of dip my toe back into speaking again, which was great. I had success. I was like, okay, I'm back, but I've got a new topic. Like, here we go. And so I had this other business on the side. All through 2018, I was like, I decided to get certified as well as a coach, because I was like coaching women as I was doing their eyelashes and speaking. And I decided to get certified because I wanted to get some major credentials with that, which is something you should definitely talk about too, is like having a little bit of credential gives a business or gives us somebody like, it helps us something click in their brain. They feel good about hiring you. So I knew that would help with my speaking stuff and everything. So I got certified. I spent a whole year getting a really intense certification. I highly recommend this school. If you guys want information, let me know.
Now, is that a coaching certification?
Yeah, it was a very intense one. It was not like one of those little ones that people offer. It was very intense. It was a ton of online hours, like hundreds of hours. And then it was a lot of 3 in-person trainings. It was really good. So anyway, I go hard. When I do things, I do them right. Yeah. Like I'm like, let's go. So I found that school and I was all about it. So I spent 2018 doing that, and then doing a lot more speaking. Like speaking just kept popping up, and I was like, okay, here we go. So I was doing speaking, coaching, and I was doing the lash business, and it was like, okay, I gotta
look like me.
Yeah. So I ended up selling the lash business, towards November last year, November last year. So I ended up giving that up, sold it, went full in on speaking and coaching again, and I've been doing that ever since. So yes, a large part of what I do is coaching. I love it. I do one-on-one coaching, and like I said, I have the group program, but I also do consulting for businesses and group trainings as well, all about leadership and impact. Being a world changer, accessing how to be a world changer, and some other pieces that go with that.
Beautiful. Now I got to ask a question. It's more of a personal question from my end. You said you do all this coaching. How did you end up coaching in Australia? I saw you work with a group for like some type of retreat, and you're down there coaching. And I'll be honest, I was like, I hate her.
Oh, Australia. So yeah, I've got some friends there that I met. How did I meet them? Okay, I actually met them here in Scottsdale. You ready for this? Back in 2016 is when we all got connected at an event. So go to personal development events, you guys. Feel into like what's good for you, because you're going to meet people that are going to be part of your journey. It was so cool. I went to this event, and I met these people that are nothing short of like family at this point with some of the ways that we connect with each other through our growth. But I was invited to come out to to a retreat that one of them was having last year. And yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing. I love all of them.
Beautiful. So, you know, people are always asking, and you can kind of share here, is adjusting my light here. Give me 2 seconds.
I love this.
The reality of doing videos here. But, you know, obviously people will ask you, hey, you're a speaker. But then I know another question always will come up is, obviously you're saying you do good work, but, you know, how do you attract your clients, whether it be speaking clients or coaching clients?
Great question. It really does come down to a clear offering and giving something that is of massive value. But the biggest piece is really a clear offering. I talk with world changers about this all the time. It's okay to have a very, like, again, I speak about things like energy. So the energy of money and the energy of people and gigs and confidence is a very strong energy, right?
Yeah.
So therefore you would need to have a strong offering that it can respond to, because like energy attracts like energy. Okay, so a strong offering, a strong product, how people work with you is literally like key. So I started out, just like people were like, how do I work with you? And I was like, boom, I have these packages. Boom, I've got this availability. And people were like, okay, all right. And then, but I started by doing free calls too. So that's a big thing for coaching and speaking. If you're thinking about doing speaking, don't be afraid of free gigs. And they're not always free. You know, you can do them in exchange for, you know, a video or a testimonial or referrals, like any kind of energy exchange, you know, for you coming and sharing your efforts and your energy. And so I was doing these calls that were at no charge. And it's funny, I was offering I just wanted to talk to world changers. And I was like, I just know that there's some things I'm supposed to do and talk to people about. So I ended up just saying like, hey, here's what you're going to get. So again, a clear offering. You're going to get one free 60-minute phone call. You're going to get 3 gems to help you on the way. You're going to get a current energy read. I have an energy leadership certification as well. So I can help people see where their energy and efforts are going. So I'm like, here, let me give you a current energy read. Let me give you 3 gems to help you along the way and 60 minutes of free coaching. People were like, oh, whoa, and that was a clear offering. Does that make sense? Like so many people are out there trying to build a coaching business and going like, ooh, here's a free call. Here's a free this, here's a free that. And I'm like, tell people what they're going to get when they work with you. Just like you, when people hire you, they know they're going to get the F.R.E.S.H methodology. Like it's clear. And that is
it's very important. Like I was telling someone the other day, speakers were going, I was like, when you go to get your car fixed, you don't ask, you know, what they're actually going to do. You just want to hear that they're going to get the car fixed. So you're selling, as you're saying, the results. You know, what's the value is the results of what you're going to provide. Where you get so many of these people who are selling, where it's just going. If I went to the dealership, I'm like, well, we're going to change the oil, fix this, fix that. I'm like, I don't want to necessarily know that right off the bat. I want to know if you can fix it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that you're saying something similar. Is you know, what you're presenting is, hey, you know, I said you're presenting the results of working with you.
Well, a little bit, but it's interesting because I don't necessarily offer results as far as like, oh, you're going to have, I'm going to take you from X space to Z space. Like I don't have that. And a lot of sales coaches out there right now are saying, we're going to increase your sales by 10%. We're going to do this by X amount. Like, and that's not what I'm saying. That was hard for me to establish at first, is figuring out.
Turn your phone off when you're doing a deal. So we're having all the real life stuff going on right now. So I think I need to come get coached by you.
I would love to chat. So, okay. So, but like it can be difficult sometimes if you're launching a coaching business to say like, hey, I'm going to do X, Y, Z for you, because everybody that comes to me is in a different space. You know, they all have a different starting point. So I'm really clear what I offer. Does that make sense? And so it's not necessarily like selling the result. It's saying, here's clearly how I am and what you get when you come to work with me.
Yeah. So you're not selling vagueness. It's like, hey, you're giving very specific as far as, you know, you said coaching session, training session, you're giving people exact, so they know ahead of time versus you have a lot of these groups who, I could talk for you,
It's a little different than speaking, yeah, in that way, because speaking, yes, they are buying the inspiration, they're buying the, you know, the result for their group, they're buying the deliverable in that way. But like with a coach, it really is a journey you're going on with them. So that's a little bit different, I think, for the different business models and the different parts of my business. But yeah, so and with coaching, I have 2 ways that people can work with me. You can either come in and do a 3 or 6 month journey with me, which is very specific. It's only for a certain amount, like we have to do like a chat and connect first to make sure it's a good fit energetically. If I'm not the girl for you, I've got some other people. But I also offer a 90-minute laser focused deep dive energy, like read session, laser coaching, energetic chiropractic adjustments to help you along your way. Because those free calls were so crazy successful. So to loop back and answer that question now, people started feeling XYZ way and then sharing it on social media. They were like, oh my God, I had a call with Natalie and it went this way. Oh my gosh, this way. And this person. Next thing I know, people are sharing it. I wasn't even asking them to. And all over the world, people started coming in, like literally. It's funny, be careful what you name things too, because I called it world changer calls, and it literally started attracting people from all over the world. I now have clients that are in Australia, New Zealand, Bali, Poland, Ireland, like literally people all over the world that come in to work with me. And so, the name of what you call everything is also super, super important. But yeah, so I hope this is answering some of the questions about, like, it's for me, I can help anybody get laser focused on what it is you're offering. And it's not necessarily what you think. It's not necessarily like a result.
Yep.
It's getting people to cross the door to buy from you by knowing, like, okay, they're going to get this piece, and this piece. The end result we actually can't control, but here's everything she's putting in place for us to get to success.
Right. You can't guarantee the success, but I'm going to teach you or provide you with these tools to, you know, as you said, stay laser focused and just keep you in line.
So with you, there's the methodology, you know, and like people wrap their brains around that. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you. We're getting this fresh methodology. Like, awesome. That's the right name, right? I'm calling it.
Yeah, you got it right.
Perfect. And so like that is, again, that's a piece. So you're not necessarily saying everybody's going to feel XYZ way, although that can be some of the results that you provide with people working with you. But energetically, you're saying, you bring me in to work with you. Here's the path I'm going to lay out for you, and we're going to walk it together.
Yeah, like what you're saying too is like I just tell people quite simply, like, hey, I'll teach people how to be these positive leaders. And someone's like, well, can you guarantee this? Like, well, no, I can't guarantee that they're going to be a positive leader, but I can guarantee with my methodology what I will teach them. I was like, the application piece is still up to the audience or the client.
Exactly. Well, this is so important for any service-based industry, any business, any speaking business and coaching.
Yep. So let's get laser focused here. You know, we're talking about the art and the business of speaking. So first thing is for just laser focus, just 1, maybe 2. If someone who's watching this wants to, not if, but when they want to become better at the art of public speaking, what would you recommend? What's really helped you just become better as far as the way you communicate with an audience?
Yes. 2 things were pivotal in my success. 1 is have yourself videotaped. Get yourself in front of a crowd and get someone to videotape it beginning to end. You will learn things about yourself, your energy, how you're moving, how your body's moving, how you're communicating, when you shift, when you don't, when you are confident, when you're not. It's huge. Obviously everybody doesn't like this. You know, I used to hate watching myself on video, guys. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Days, they taught us this in journalism school. They're like, get comfortable with being uncomfortable with how you look on camera, because that is huge, especially now with all of the, like, this was back in when I was in college. It was like 2002. So we didn't have all this internet video floating around everywhere. Everybody's a reporter now. Everyone's a reporter now. And so everybody's got their video, and that's why it's pivotal to pay attention to how you look on video, you guys. And I'm not saying like, does my hair look good? I'm saying, how is my body language on a stage? That's pivotal.
Oh yeah.
And 2, pay attention to when you're watching yourself and when you're talking, pay attention to your breath. Your breath control is really big too for any kind of public speaking career. Speaking from your diaphragm as opposed to speaking from your vocal cords is a very minute little detail, but it's so important. And it's everything, as you know. I would love to hear your perspective on this, Frank.
Well, the strain of it, as you said, if you're not learning how to speak from your diaphragm and you're straining your vocal cords, then by the end of the day, I'm like, I had it happen to me. I would be almost hoarse. And I talked to musicians and singers, and they started to teach me a couple of tricks, or even I've had a couple of speeches at altitude or higher, and I didn't realize how to breathe correctly. So I had one point where I was up at over 7,000, almost 8,000 feet for a conference. And because I'm very interactive on the stage, I was breathing super heavy, and I hadn't learned just, how to breathe. Or you're drinking water right now, like, how being in a higher altitude, you're drier, with your throat. So it makes a huge difference. And as you said, they're little minute things, but they really impact your success, on stage, or even right now, how we're, doing video. You go for your water, and I've got my water too. But
it's so important. It's so important. I was at a speaking event like 2 weeks ago, and I was drinking a lot of water prepping for the actual event, and everyone, because there was like a mingling before, and once two people were like, "Oh my gosh, you're drinking a lot of water." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm always paying attention to my energy." This is a fun little teaching nugget. And your body is when you're speaking, there's an electricity to it, right? Like your energy can be electric if you let it, and water is a conductor of electricity. So
there you go.
I know. So I always say, like, water helps me be more engaged. It helps me be more involved and in tune with what's happening around me and with the audience. And it helps carry my energy further. I know that sounds funny to say, but it's like real. Your body chemistry responds well to water, whether it's 1 sip or 10 sips. Like, drink water when you're going to be out there for a long period of time. And that, combined with being aware of your breath, where your voice is coming from, it's all linked to confidence too. Like, I've done speaking coaching on this too, and knowing what you look like on a stage is huge, because think about it. You're one person, you're on a stage, and you've got, 1,000 people in the audience looking at you. You should know what you look like.
Yeah.
You should know what they're receiving. So don't be afraid of video, you guys. Video is such a great tool to help you get strong as a speaker.
Video is huge, because you can't debate it, because you can have someone who's coaching you says, you do this, and you're like, no, I don't. Then you see it on video, you're like, oh, okay.
And how do sports teams get really good at how do sports teams get good? They watch video of the games, they watch the replays, they break it apart. They're like, this. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I even had points where someone recorded, and I didn't realize how much I would pull off to one side of the stage than the other.
Ooh, yeah.
And once I saw the video, I was like, oh, okay, so I knew now to be more cognizant of where I was on stage. So yeah, that's a big one. Now, that's the art of speaking. What about the business of speaking? What's, just one laser pinpoint thing you would recommend for somebody like, well, you know what, I've been told I'm a good speaker. I like speaking to groups. Maybe I should consider making, this could be a part-time profession, full-time profession, but they want to actually start to get compensated. What would you recommend?
Have you already been speaking for free would be my first question. There's a lot of pieces to this. First of all, you need to get comfortable charging for speaking, yes, and comfortable with offering your gifts and getting charged for that. Or getting paid for that. I see a lot of world changers struggle with this too, because your gift comes through you. And when I first started speaking, I'm not exempt from this. I was like speaking for pennies, and I was like having a hard time accepting fees or like standing tall on my fees, because I was like, this message can save lives, so it's okay if I don't eat, just if I can reach people. So that's a whole thing. So definitely start speaking for free first. Let's start there. Start speaking for free. Get some photos of you in front of stages or on stages. Get some good video, get some practice, and get comfortable on a stage and get comfortable with your product. When I first started doing eyelashes, people were like, why are you not charging? And why are you charging so little to start? And I was like, I'm not going to offer a crappy product.
Yeah.
I want to be really good, so that when I finally do take paying clients, it explodes. And that's what happened. So that's how I roll. And that's what I did with coaching. I was like, I'm going to get good at this. So get good at speaking. first of all, while doing it for free or very, 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 very discounted. And then so your question is like when they want to start getting compensated.
Not necessarily even compensated, but just, you gave the advice there saying, hey, start to speak for free. And like I had a mentor said the same thing, speak for free before you speak for a fee to build up. But I love speaking to speakers like yourself just to see what their advice is on this business side of this, this crazy industry.
Yeah. Okay. So then get clear on who you want your audience to be. So like if we're talking about schools, I got really clear on the fact that I had a product to offer for schools. So then you start thinking about what they would buy. So that's really huge. And then you start working within their constraints and their budget and speaking their language. Like that was a huge piece of the business for me. Learning how to speak to a school about their budget, about what they've got. Okay, so there's a marketing piece. There's so many pieces to this. There's the marketing piece. So first of all, you got to get out there and start talking about the fact that you are a speaker, that you are looking for XYZ as your stage to be on. Okay, so once you do that, and let's pretend like for all intents and purposes, you've got a school on the line, and they're like, okay, we're thinking about bringing a speaker to kick off the fall semester. What do you charge? My biggest response is now, what's your budget for this event?
That's the key one.
What is your budget for this event? Because that's going to dictate what I charge. I've got a whole different range of product here. It's like they're walking into your store, right? So think about it like they're walking into the store of Frank, they're walking into the store of Natalie. They're like, okay, we're thinking about buying. Okay, well, great. What are you looking for? Let's start there. Okay, I'm looking for this kind of a speaker. Okay, what are you wanting to accomplish with this event? I'm wanting, it's basically like, imagine you're in like a makeup counter. Okay, what do you want? What's happening? What do you need with your skin? What do you need? I don't know why this analogy is coming out this way, but it
works.
Product, we're a product here. And so, okay, what do you want to achieve? What are you wanting them to accomplish? What are you wanting them to feel? XYZ. Okay, great. Well, I've got this particular product, but wait, like, let's start. What's in your budget range? Like, are you wanting super high end? Are you wanting the whole Shazam? You wanting me to be there for 8 hours? Like, what do you want? And what's your budget for it? That'll dictate the products I can show you in this price range.
Got it. So yeah, I love that one. I've learned that from several people too, is just the first question is just to ask your budget. It's almost like with your analogy. It's like, well, if I've got a dollar store budget, I'm not walking into the Mercedes-Benz dealership. Yeah. Or you're not gonna offer me the top of the line deal if you understand what my budget is.
So those conversations is in itself an art. Let's go there for a second. It's in itself an art. It's like anything. There's sales trainers, there's coaches that can help you with this.
Exactly. So obviously we've got two speakers here and we've been going for a long time. I know I could ask more questions, so we may have to do this again, but one of the big deal reasons I wanted to bring you on today is I see it as a movement right now. Speaking, especially on the professional side, is a very male-dominated industry, which I see that meaning that there are more opportunities. And I've had groups where I've reached out to, ask for, speaking opportunities, and they go, hey, we like what we see, but we've had so many males in a row. We're looking for a female speaker.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know your perspective. What are some of the quote perks of being a female speaker, but what are some of the challenges that you've faced also?
Well, let's start with the challenges. So I have a unique perspective because I was speaking about I was leading a female-led movement. So people did want that. They knew they were calling in that. They wanted that. But one of the challenges actually has to do with pay and has to do with like what you're standing on in this world, because I'm really owning the fact that I was able to offer a product and dance in this world too, literally dance, figuratively dance in this business world with men who are offering a similar product, and owning it, really owning it with love, with compassion, with awareness toward what we're doing here. Owning my product was huge. Let me see other challenges. I'm just going to go here because we're talking about this openly. I really had to become aware. So once I kind of came out of the sexual assault stuff and started doing more leadership speaking, I had to really be aware of like how people respond to a female audience. I have been catcalled. I have been, inappropriately talked to by high schoolers, things like that, while I walk on a stage, you guys. Like, that was intense. So you have to be aware as a female that may happen, and do the work to not be offended by it, because it's not about you really, it's about them, but be responsible. So like, I always wear high-necked things. I'm very professional. I have been commended by schools about this. They're like, thank you for not, wearing a low shirt. Thank you for, not wearing tight pants. Like, it's really important to be aware of how you're being received, and not with I'm definitely the person to talk about this, and not being, not getting up on your high horse about it, just like being aware of like the human brain and how like young boys may perceive you as a speaker.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a big one. Like, we're talking honestly, but I want everybody to understand this, whether male or female, but from my female business friends, there is, and it's honest thing, and something we're still working on here in our society, is we do treat the women different than we do the men. And I have talked with other speakers where there have been, as I said, certain perks where it's like, hey, we haven't had a speaker, so doors are open. But I also have seen a lot more challenges, whether you say be the cat calls, the way people treat you. I've had some friends where even like on the intelligence side where they, and it's sad, but they would hold as you said, you could have a female CEO and you might have a male manager, and they may treat the male manager with more respect than the CEO, even though she has more experience.
Yeah, it's definitely shifting. Like, people on the planet and the trends I'm seeing in business and conscious business are really, it is shifting, but it's still there. We got to be aware of it, be aware of it so that you can then adapt to it. There's a lot of women now that are really embracing their femininity, and the fact that we have a skill that we are able to lead with our heart and our head at the same time. Yeah. It's really great. It's really huge. I've had male executives tell me they bring women into their organization for that reason, because of the way the woman brain thinks, but we have to be aware of the challenges that are still out there. And again, I'm a really good person to talk about this because I have led a movement on sexual assault and like being, a woman being a victim and being strong and this, that. So I can talk about this for days. I will not, but there definitely are challenges, and it really comes down to just dropping your own perceptions and doing the work to own your story, own your responsibility, and understand that things are happening all around you that maybe are out of your control.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I said, I'm just happy that you were able to share that. And I do have, coming up, quote, through this season, I have several other female speakers, and I'll be asking that same question, because part of the way to make this positive change, and I'm going to have different speakers on diversity also, is to expose people what, really happens out there. We're not saying, trying to be negative about, but it's like, hey, so we have to educate and inform people so they can share that knowledge or information. And, because I said, I love it. I get a lot of phone calls where people say, hey, Frank, we are looking for, whether it be a female speaker or, someone who speaks a foreign language, different language in English. We're looking for somebody who is a, business owner. We're looking for a male. We're looking for a female, older, younger. There are different speakers for different audiences. But as that speaker too, you have to recognize, the audience may have a certain feeling or, prejudgment before you ever step on the stage.
Yeah. And again, it just comes down to your awareness of it and not being offended by it, just embracing the fact that like this could happen whether I'm on a stage or whether I'm walking into the grocery store.
Oh, exactly. And, even on the male standpoint, you said for people who don't believe it, males and females, we can walk onto the stage, and as you said, there will be cat calls, and you have to be the professional and still work your way through it. So obviously we've been talking a lot, just a lot of great information. I know you, so I know you got a bright future ahead, but for people who want to learn more about what your plans for the future, you can talk a little bit about it. How would they get in touch with you? How can we find out more about Natalie? So if we want to, because I know you're on social media, like I got to get like you. You're popping up Insta stories every day, and not even like one story, like 10 stories. But how do people get in touch with you?
Yes, Instagram is like the calling card these days. And if you, just a really quick note, if you're a female and you're out there and you're wanting to speak, like definitely let's band together. Let's talk more. I see a need for female speakers. So in that way, I love world changers. I love people who have a dream, who have a message that they know they're supposed to deliver to the world, because there's a very special group of us right now that are, we're here to make change. We're here to help people wake up. We're here to empower people. There's a very special group of people that are owning their responsibility and owning their calling right now and helping the world, then the planet shift. Frank, you're one of those people. You are a world changer as well.
Thank you.
That's who's drawn to me. And so if you're hearing any pings right now, or you're feeling like you're resonating with anything I'm saying right now, that's for a reason. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out. Send me a message on Instagram. That's the calling card these days. When I go out and network these days, everybody's like, what's your Instagram? What's your Instagram? What's your Instagram? So follow me on Instagram. Frank will have my name on there, just Natalie Ehmka. I'm posting on there. I am getting a little better at Facebook again. It's the best ways to find me. And then I've got like all my links set up in my Instagram. So if you want to have a conversation, I do 15-minute like connection calls to see if I'm the right person to do either a 90-minute deep dive with you, or if we want to talk more about a 3 or 6 month container. Again, it's very specific for the 3 to 6 month container. However, anybody can do a 90-minute deep dive. And if, again, like you can go and read on my website, natalieehmka.com/book-a-session. I'll have Frank link it if he can.
Yeah, send it to me.
Yeah, you can read about exactly what I do. You can read about what I do, but it's basically going to shift your whole perspective. So I had somebody say the other day, like, I do sessions with world changers, but that one session could change your world. So I was so humbled by that. So, but it's really all about awareness and perspective. So if you have a world changing idea, if you have a desire to help make change on the planet right now, definitely reach out and hit and connect with me, because I'm going to be the person who is going to tell you why you're the person to do it.
Yep. And for everybody watching this on Facebook, I will, in this post, I will tag Natalie for any social medias out there. I'll make sure I, tag her in there, but it's Natalie, correct? You gotta make sure you spell it right.
Yes.
And then Ehmka.
Yes. And the H is silent. So everybody knows how you pronounce it. That's why for a long time in the speaking world, I went by Natalie E. So think about that too, how if you've got a difficult name, come up with another name for yourself or shorten your name in some way, shape, or form, because Frank doesn't have this problem, but Natalie Ehmka was really hard for people to remember and for kids to find. So Natalie E became my website.
Yep. And then even in the case if you got a popular name, like I've had some people where they had the name Smith or Campbell and everybody already had that website and that link. So it was hard for them to, differentiate. So once again, just another great tip there from you. So Natalie, I just got to say, once again, thank you for jumping on. As I said, we might have to do a part 2 because we're just talking and sharing. But as I said, just thank you for sharing. Yeah, thanks for sharing your fresh perspective on deals. I love just listening to your input and your ideas and seeing where you're going. And we'll just make sure we stay in touch.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'll see you guys all soon.
All right. Remember, everybody, this is Natalie Ehmka. She is the executive leadership coach, motivational speaker, soon to be author, just amazing person. So make sure you go check her out. And then I want to say, just look her up, hit Google, you'll find her, but it's Natalie Ehmka, Ehmka, Natalie, and you will find her. So keep smiling, Natalie, keep changing the world, keep making world changers. And thanks for being on Fresh Takes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Wow, we went so long. Sorry, we went so long.
No, it's actually, it's good. I may break it up. We'll see, what happens or whatever. Let's see. Do you want to stop recording?